Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Battle Inside podcast. My name is Chris America. I am your host, and this is a podcast documenting. I always mess that word up every single time. I don't know why. Documenting, following, journeying, kind of just talking about my life and my struggles with my mental illness and my struggles with traumas and things of the sort. Last week, first, before I forget, I'm not a doctor. I am not an expert. I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, crisis counselor, or anything of the sorts. No certifications other than just I am certifiably awesome. Nope, just kidding. Yeah. This episode is going to be interesting because I got no notes. I just finished up 30 minutes ago with my EMDR session with my therapist. And EMDR it's an interesting deal, and it leaves you in kind of a very, or at least for me, I can't say for you, it's left me the last two times in a very, I don't know if numb is the right word, because it's not numb. I definitely feel things. But I guess the feeling things makes you feel numb to everything else around you, and your thoughts are just really just in a state of processing. Almost like a rebooting computer. Like I feel like you watch a rebooting computer and it's just focused on that one thing, just sort of uploading and processing and downloading or whatever it is that the computer's doing, where it's just kind of going through this weird state. So I didn't write notes for this episode. I wanted to just kind of get it out. So we'll see where this episode takes us. I know what I want to say, or the gist of what I want to say. Hopefully I remember to hit all of the points that I want to hit. So I'll start off with last week. I still have not listened back to episode 8 or episode 9, and I don't know when I'm going to, because you guys found me in a height of my anxiety, and I was not in a good place. I don't know what I said or how I said it, but I do know where my state of mind was at. I do know that I made at least one of those episodes all about me and ranting and talking about my situation, and I said I wasn't going to do that. I said I wasn't going to fling mud. I said I wasn't going to make it about me and my divorce, and I feel like in the end that's what I did, at least in episode 8. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that I did that. I kept the episode up because I did say that I was also going to be committed to being raw and candid and open and honest about where I was as soon as I hit the record button. And so I decided to leave it up because that's where I was. And that's what I sounded like. And maybe it helped you get to know me a little bit more. Again, I don't know. After those episodes, I've had a few conversations with her. Some that didn't go so well. Again, nothing vulgar or anything was said either way, but things were said, and there were a lot of hard pills to swallow over 3 different conversations. Things like breakups happen all the time. This happens to kids all the time. I'm using the kids as pawns. I'm using the kids to manipulate her. I'm using kids to guilt trip her. That I'm still trying to get back with her. And she's not the only one that's said that to me. And it's every time it's said to me, I do take pause and I do try to discern, and whether or not that's true, if I have hidden motives and if I'm lying to myself and I'm trying to get back with her. And I do come to the same conclusion every single time. I'm not trying to get back with her, and I'll tell you why I know that, but The only idea I have of her and I being back together is the fact that, again, I am a person that believes that when you get married, you say for better, for worse, and you try to make it work. So I don't think that I'm necessarily wanting to get back with her or wanting to work it out. I think my desire right now is to, if I had my druthers, would be to go see a marriage counselor and settle out and iron out all of our differences and all of the things that have happened between us. And then when we're there, when we're at that point where all of the anger for both of us, all of the hurt for both of us, and all of that is ironed out, then see where we're at. And that could be that, it's over. We're not right for each other. And we peacefully go our own separate ways. And it could end that we are right for each other. And this was just a really crappy, huge bump in the road. And we made it through. And now we're a better couple because of it. So those are honestly, when I really sit there and think about it, those are honestly the only feelings I have of getting back together with her. It's more or less of just a feeling of like, I would like to do this the right way. I would like to do it the way that we should have done it to begin with. Go to marriage counseling, go to our own individual counseling, and then go through it all, come out the other side and say, okay, now let's make a healthy, well thought out, well processed choice with the help of others. That's honestly the only thing I would love to have. And I know that I'm not going to get that. And the other reason why I know that I definitely don't want to try to win her over or try to get her back is because I know myself. And I know my negativity, and I know my worthlessness, and I know my my mindset when it comes to relationships like this. I've told you guys before, I've been here before. And the second she told me she was done, I saw it in her face, and I gave up on winning her back right then and there. I don't like it when people tell me to just have hope. She's just going through a process. Like, no, I'm not going to do that. That is absolute torture for myself. And people say, well, try to win her back. Not going to do that either. Because, again, that's absolute torture for myself. If you ask me, in my mind, from the second she said I'm done, all the way up to today, there's never been an instance where I believed that this story will ever end with her getting back with me. And again, it's because, like I said, I know my way of thinking. I have a very pessimistic view when it comes to this for myself. My view is this: that's not the way that my life goes. That's not the way the story ends for me, and that's not the way I believe the story is ever going to end for me. I know these are wrong in the overall grand scheme of things, but they are right when I'm trying to not convince anybody, because I really don't care anymore at this point. When I'm trying to know for myself that I don't have that feeling of trying to win her back or trying to get her to get back with me or anything else like that, because I don't have a belief that that's ever going to happen for me. I don't believe that I deserve that. I don't believe that I deserve happiness. I believe in a lot of ways, in my own negativity, that is just not the story for me. And it's never going to be the story for me. And I'm never going to have that person that says, look, I messed up and I love you and I forgive you and you forgive me. I really want to work this out. I really think you're worth it. And I'm really sorry that I hurt you that way. I don't believe that that's ever going to be in the cards for me. And again, I know that sounds bad, but that's just where I'm at. And hopefully you can recognize that, to know that my negativity and my pessimism and my worthlessness for myself can let you know that there is not an ounce of me that believes that this is ever going to end with her taking me back. And In fact, when she apologized a week ago, I was surprised. And then when she took it back and we are where we are now, I was like, yep, that makes more sense. That's exactly how it's supposed to go, Chris, for your life. You're never going to have somebody in your life like that come and say that they're sorry. It's just never going to happen. You're never going to have that conversation where somebody absolutely hurt you and them actually own up to it, actually apologize for it, and actually tell you that you matter so much to me and I respect you so much that I want to make it right with you. Last week was more of what I know and believe about my life and how it goes. And so we're back on par for the course for my life. And again, I know that's negative, and I know that's not a positive way to think, but like I said, I'm going to be raw and candid with you guys. That's just where I'm at. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody about everything that's gone on, and they told me, don't worry, she will regret it one day. And, people who make rash decisions and make fast decisions like she did, she'll regret it one day, and she'll come back. And I said, honestly, I don't believe that. That's not, that works for other people. That happens for other people, but that doesn't happen for Chris America. That is not in the table or in the cards. And so, honestly, that's one thing that's like, it's hard for me to accept, but I do accept pretty fast. But I don't accept it because then I'm just hurt by it. And then I just add it to my long list of people who do that to me, and it hurts that it just keeps happening. But then eventually I just get to a point where it's like, dude, that's just your life. So get used to it. So yeah, and then the whole fact of are you using the kids to manipulate the situation? Are you using it to guilt trip her? Are you using it to get her back or to stay in her life? And the answer is 1,000,000% no. And that I actually believe more than am I trying to get back with her? Because like I said, there is that part of me that wishes that this does end differently. Because it would be kind of cool to finally have that story end the other way. That story of redemption and reconciliation and forgiveness and hard work and love conquering everything. It would be cool to see that happen. I'd love that to happen for me in my life. But again, it's just, that's not how the story ends for me. And where I'm at right now, I truly believe that it's never going to end that way for me. And so I have to accept that. I have to come to peace with that. I have to come to terms with that. It's just never in the cards. Like, you have a possible straight, and that card that comes over, or you have that possible flush, you start off with 2 clubs, and then 2 more clubs fall out on the flop, and it doesn't hit the next one, and it doesn't hit the second one. It's just the way it is. I'm chasing a flush, and the cards are never going to be turned over to where it's another club. And so back to the kids, though. No. I will be abundantly clear. I am not using the kids to get empathy or sympathy or to have a pity party for my friends and family. I'm not using the kids to guilt trip her. I'm not using the kids to keep her in my life. Because of my past experiences and because I know how I feel with the whole child-parent abandonment feeling, it hurts me on a deeper level. I'm already an empath. I'm already an empathetic person. I feel other people's emotions. I feel what they're thinking in a lot of ways. It's why I'm good at reading people. I feel where they're at. And then when you take on a feeling that I can also relate to in a strong way, I feel it even more. And then when I take that feeling that I feel in a strong way and you give it to somebody that I absolutely love, like I do my son and her son, then it's even more intense. It is the most intense pain that I can feel for somebody. And that is why I'm frustrated. And that is why I'm angry. And that is why I'm upset at her decision to just walk away and abandon my son, and her decision to force me to abandon her son. And it hurts in a real way because I can't see it affecting her son because I haven't seen him really except for in passing, but I see it in my son. Yesterday morning, Landon had a rough morning. The kid that we were living with, he wanted to just go outside to go drop off a bike at a neighbor's house, and he wanted Landon to come with him. Landon didn't want to go. I asked him why, and he said, I don't want to leave you. And he started crying. And so I had to, help him out. I had to try to get him to let his emotions out. And it's hard. Because again, he's somebody I immensely love more than anybody in this world. He's having a pain that I can ultimately relate to. The fact that somebody came into his life as a parenthood figure and loved him like he was, like they were his parent and he was their child, and now they're gone. And so we're talking, and I asked him to write her a letter. I said, why don't you write her a letter? You're having a hard time expressing yourself. Why don't you write her a letter? And he said, I don't want to do that. And I asked him why, and he said, I was afraid that she won't respond. So I said, okay, why don't we just write her a letter, and you can choose to send it or not send it, either way. And he said, okay, I'll do that. And so I pulled up his phone for him to type out the letter, and as soon as I pull it up, what's on the screen is his text messages between him and her. And where he is at is on a text message from February 2018. And so he had scrolled through all of his text messages between now and 2018 in February, so almost a year and 2 months of text messages, and I asked him why he was doing that, and he said, because I wanted to be reminded of her. And so my heart broke, and I called her, and I told her, look, I don't want to fight. I don't want to do anything. Look, this is what's going on with my son. Can you just, please, just find a way to just, let's figure this out. Because my son needs you. And she basically just said, he needs extensive help. He needs therapy. I can't help him. And life sucks sometimes, and he's got to figure out a way to do it. And I said, yes, he needs therapy, and yes, he needs to learn how to deal with life when it sucks, but you don't have to make that decision to make it suck for him. You can make a different decision, but she doesn't want to. She believes that it's still healthiest for her to go her way and me to go my way, and it hurt. So I was kind of reset back. I didn't have feelings of really like true suicide. I just had feelings on Saturday of just, I guess, like I'm not good for anybody, and so I should be gone. I didn't know, I didn't really have a definition for what gone was, but just everybody's life, including my son, would be better because her life is better without me, according to her, and her son's life is better without me, according to her. And she knows me better than anybody, so if she knows that, then everybody probably feels that way. Again, I know these are lies, and I know these are just negativity and worthlessness just overcoming. And something that kind of helped me throughout our conversation, we had a good 30-minute conversation that was calm, cool, and collected. I appreciated that. I got to speak my piece. She got to speak hers. We didn't leave off agreeing on anything, but that's okay. But the thing that helped me come to peace, and it didn't come to it until this morning, and I don't know what it was about this morning that I woke up in a state of just like defeat and accepted defeat, where it's like you tried your best, you did everything you could. Now it's just time to just give up and let go and relax. And in that state, one of the things she told me, reacting to what I had said about we're going through a divorce, was that, Chris, we only got married for the benefits. You know that, and I know that. And I had to stop her, and I said, no, that's an absolute lie. And just like I told you how I knew the other two things that I was sure of, I know that that's an absolute lie. I know it's not a miscommunication, or I think I said that, but I really didn't, or I think she said that, but she really didn't. I know that none of that is true because, again, I know myself, and I know my fears, and I know my doubts, and I know my negativity. And all my fears, doubts, and negativity towards marriage is that, A, it's not going to work out, B, you're going to end up divorced, and C, she's going to end up crushing your heart. So don't get married, because that's how that ends for you. That's how that story ends for Chris America. And so we spent 3 months of her and I talking out those fears, of her and I talking about how I didn't want to just get married just for the benefits. That, yes, it sounds great, that's a plus, but I need to know that this is something that it's not going to end in divorce, or that it's not at least going to end in a way that you just give up on me and just say we're done and never work on it and never try to make it work and not fight for this marriage. I need a commitment from you. And she spent a good 3 months convincing me. And so for her to say that to me now, that, look, Chris, we just got married for benefits, it didn't hit me then. It really just hurt me then, that it's like, I just don't understand it. I can't wrap my mind around it. That she's lying to me, or she's lying to herself. And I believe that she's lying to herself because, like I said, I can read people, and I know for a fact that she believed exactly what she was telling me. And I told her that was not the case, and I told her what I just told you, and she just said, okay, I mean, you can believe what you want. And to me, that means she's convinced herself, for whatever reason, that that's why she got the divorce, or why she got married. And so I can't really be hurt by somebody that has created a world and created a memory and believes in something that's absolutely not true. And that's something that she has to deal with, that it's not even anything to do with me. It's something that she has to work out on her own, and I'm not going to be able to convince her of it. And so, like I said, I was in a state of defeat and denial. So I kind of didn't want to spend all that time talking about it, but it felt good to give you guys an update. Again, I apologize. I'm sorry. I don't know if I should be sorry. Some people said I shouldn't be sorry. Other people said I do. I did make 3 Facebook posts that I shouldn't have. Again, none of them said anything vile or vulgar, but they just said, I'm angry and this is why I'm angry. This is what's going on in my life right now, and I need support. I am in pain. I am hurt. I am a grieving father, and I just need help. And maybe that wasn't the right place to do it in, but I did it. And what's done is done is done. And she tells me that that's one of the reasons why she can't see us ever reconciling our differences, that even though I'm a forgiving person, she's not. And if that makes her a cold-hearted bitch, then so be it. And again, I can't change that. That's her issue. I can't live my life working with somebody, especially on forgiveness, that has a lot of take, but not a whole lot of give. And that's where we're at right now. And I have to stop working on somebody who's in that place. Because that's basically what she's telling me, is that, like, you did this, and that's why I can't forgive you. Even though I know exactly everything that I've done is 10 times worse or 100 times worse, and you're ready to forgive me, but I'm not like you, so it's not going to work. And so, I'm coming to the realization that I can't do anything with somebody who's just going to give, just going to take, and only give a little bit. Only give me wiggle room to be imperfect. Only give me a little wiggle room to be inhuman or to be human, and I'm supposed to be the one that accepts and takes all of her mistakes and says, people are people, and I forgive you. I'm going to work on that without her, but to work on that with her, where it's just all take and no give and no wiggle room for me to be imperfect, I just realized that that's not, she's in the wrong there. And if that's what you're dealing with too, just know that that person's in the wrong. That's not how you deal with problems. But let me get to my EMDR. And the EMDR started out like this. My therapist wanted me to go back to the memory of what happened to me with my sexual abuse, and my brain and my heart was having none of it. And one of the hard things about this EMDR thing for me, especially when it comes to that memory, is I have built such a protective security system. It is not just a wall. I'm telling you, it's like damn Fort Knox that I've built to where I can secure it enough to the point to where it hurts me, and yes, it affects me in ways that I can't control and I can't secure against, but it still doesn't hurt. And so the last 2 times that we've done EMDR, and she's tried to get me to access that memory, I have to go through a full-on security system, and I basically have to fight myself. And that is a fight that most of the time the fight of the person protecting that memory and protecting me from that memory usually wins, mostly because me on the other end, who wants to access that memory and wants to work it out, doesn't really want to access it and doesn't really want to work it out, so I don't fight that hard. So we started out, and it was a challenge to bring it up, because I did feel like my EMDR kind of also didn't help my week in dealing with the ex. It put me in a very state of like uselessness and worthlessness that I had access to, and so I fought it. I didn't want another week like that. I didn't want another day like that. So my therapist said, why don't we do this? I want you to type in to Google mentally what you experienced, and then I want you to list off all of the websites that pop up for that. And so I did. And I know I said I'm not really gonna curse a lot, but I feel like I need to do this to just be open and genuine, and hopefully those who are offended by words can forgive me. So she said, what are the things that popped up? And I said some of the things that popped up was the first thing that was listed was fucked up. That was the first phrase or words that were listed was fucked up. Then followed by like hurt, anger, shame, worthlessness. And so she said, okay, well, how do those words make you feel? And I said, right now they make me feel nothing, because they're just words and I'm just looking at a computer screen. I haven't really clicked on the site yet, so I really feel nothing. So she said, okay, well, let's start with the thing where she taps on my hands, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And she says, I want you to focus on one at a time. And so I focused on fucked up. And really, the reason why that's the first word that pops in my mind and the first word that's on the list of the Google search is because that's the overall general feeling about the entire abuse. I'm going to try to tread lightly here, so forgive me for vagueness, but it's fucked up what happened to me, obviously. It's also fucked up what happened to my abuser and why they were there. I want to point something out here that I don't know that we really recognize as a society, or we do, but not to the full extent as a society. But abuse begets abuse, begets abuse, begets abuse. And it just keeps going until one of the abused decides they're going to end the cycle. And it's really hard for that to happen with people who don't have others to help them do that. And so abuse begets abuse. We're on this whole, like as a society, we're on this whole anti-bullying campaign and everything else. And we've really like stepped up, like say no to bullying and stand up to bullying and tell people about bullying. And we focus on the victim of bullying, and we focus on helping them out. And that's awesome. That is great. Don't stop doing that, because that's something that we haven't been doing as a society, is helping out people who are bullies and abused by others in school. But what we have forgotten in this process, a lot of us, through everything that I see, I was even watching that show Lucifer, and on the second episode, there was a kid that bullied another kid one of the main character's kids. And so Lucifer, Satan, went up to the bullier and said, don't do it again, and then showed him that he was really scary Satan, and he will haunt her dreams, and that's like how he dealt with it. And when he went over the bully, I saw something different. And usually when I look at bullies, I see it too. And when I see a bully and I hear about a bully, 9 times out of 10, I know that that kid is a bully because they're bullied at home and they're abused at home, or they are abused by somebody else. Somebody is abusing them, and now they're at school, and now they have the power to abuse others. And that is how they're dealing with the fact that they're bullied and that they're worthless, is because they now have that. They want to take that out on somebody else. They can't take it out on the person who's abusing them because they're bigger, they're stronger, they're adults most of the time. And so they take it out on other people who are weaker than them. And that's what happened to me. And so it was fucked up what happened to them, and it's fucked up what happened to me. And then I said that, it's fucked up that I've carried this for 30 years and have only gently talked about it. I've never gone into full detail or full emotions or full description or full this is how it affects me and makes me feel with anybody, including myself. Because like I said, I've built the security system up. It is fully locked and loaded, ready to go to keep me from accessing the full-on effect of what that did to me. And I told her that it's fucked up that I've never been able to do that. That I've never been able to talk it out with anybody. And that the people I've been with, including this last ex, even when I've told them, they've never had the full-on power of feeling what I feel. And I've never had that full-on empathy from them. And, you get empathy from other people, and it's great. But I'm still human, and we're all still human. We want empathy from the right people. We want empathy from our spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends. We want empathy from our parents. We want empathy from just those powerful people, like empathy from friends and empathy from strangers. Don't get me wrong, it's great, and it is powerful and it is supportive. But deep down, I want that person. One of the things that's been hardest for me about this whole divorce and me going through all of this now is I wish I had her support, and I wish I had her empathy on this. I wish I could go to her because she's the person I've leaned on for the last 3 years for that emotional support, and it's not there. And my want for her to be there for me, that's something I have not let go yet. I mean, she was my friend. And that, if I am holding on to something, that is something I'm holding on to. I'm holding on to her, the person, and her, the friend. Because I don't get into relationships with people just because it's hunky-dory now, and then when it's over, I'm just done with them. When I love you in that situation, I'm wanting to love you, the person, not you, the relationship, not you, the sex, not you, the buying me gifts, not you, the cuddling me at night and waking up next to me in the morning. All that stuff is great, and I love that stuff. But I love you, the person. I chose to be with you because I love you, the person, because I connect with you in a way that I'm not connecting with anybody else. And there is all of those things that I talked about, that kind of connection, but there's just that person-to-person connection that once I make it, I don't want to lose it. It makes no sense to lose it. Especially somebody that's, good to you. I don't get it, but so I kind of got off on a tangent, but though it's just fucked up. It's fucked up that I can't do that. The next one that I focused on was shame, and this was a difficult one. Because last week I told you that I felt shame for the first time over it, that I felt ashamed, and I couldn't understand why I felt ashamed, because pretty much from when I was 15 or 16, I was able to convince myself that, Chris, you didn't do anything wrong, you were just a kid, you had no choice in the matter, it was done to you, so you're okay. And I felt like I had that shame aspect under control, not even like to a sense of It's just secured and locked away and buried. I mean, it was far better than all the other things. But I just felt like I had that under control and that I had that taken care of. And so when I'm looking at that shame link and I'm thinking about it, there's another battle inside of me. Because there's the part of me that feels the shame that I felt last week, but then there's that other part of me that I've done a very good job at telling myself that this wasn't your fault. But then there's the shame on top of shame. And one of the shame on top of shames that I'm feeling is that one of the things that was said to me to keep me quiet, or this is what I feel was said to me. This is what I believe. Again, it's the thing that sucks about these memories is I've buried them so deep that part of me doesn't know what's true and what's not true. But this memory is vivid to me, and what was said to me, or what I believe was said to me, is that if you tell anybody, they'll think you're gay. And so I'm 35. So when I was 6, that would have been 1989. 7 would have been 1990. Don't know, when that was, that it happened, 6 or 7. But during that time, being gay was laughed at. Being gay, you were ridiculed. Being gay was so taboo. And so I didn't want anybody to think I was gay. And then as I grew up with that confusion, and I remember there being a time where I was thinking, well, maybe I am gay. I mean, I did all this stuff that makes you gay. And so maybe I am gay. And then I decided, no, like you love women. You've never been sexually attracted to another man. And so you're good. And so the shame on top of the shame is like, I also love gay people. And I don't say that in the sense of like, this is how many gay friends I have. It's just people are people to me. People are always people to me. You can live your life and I'll live my life. And as long as you don't hurt mine or you don't hurt others, I'm good with you. You do whatever you want. You do your thing, player. And so gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, it really makes no difference to me. I'm really so, I don't know if indifferent's the word, because I'm not indifferent to it. Like, I appreciate them as people. That them being gay or like it doesn't define them in my world. You define you. Whatever you do with your life and decisions you make with your life, again, as long as they're not actions that define you, like being a total D-bag or being an a-hole or being selfish or narcissistic, like those actions define you. But just being a person, overall in general, I have no negative feelings towards that. And so I'm ashamed that I felt shame because I feel like I would be ashamed if I was gay. And that was hard for me to process because I felt like I was kind of being that ignorant bigot at the time. Like, well, what if you were gay? Like, would that be so bad? And the answer is no. Like, if I was gay, then I'm gay. Like, that's cool. And so I was ashamed that I was ashamed. And so I had to deal with that and come to peace with that. And then she wanted me to focus on the hurt. And when I started focusing on the hurt, I focused on the anger, and it kind of went with the fucked up part of it. I felt hurt. I felt the hurt, and then I was instantly angry about the hurt. I was angry that nobody helped me. I was angry that I've never been able to express this hurt in the full way that I needed to be expressed to somebody to hear. I was angry that I was never able to express that hurt to my current ex or any of my other exes. I was angry that I was never, never got to do any of that. I'm angry that, again, that, my ex isn't here for me right now. And that when I tell her this stuff that I'm going through and dealing with, that it's just, hey, that's good for you. Pat on the back. Good job, Tiger. Now please leave me alone. I'm angry that it's not seen. It's not recognized. It's not validated by anybody but me. And it's nobody's fault, really. It's kind of my fault. I'm angry at myself that I never took that chance, never took that dive. But I was just angry and hurt, and Cried really hard at that one. Sorry, breathing into the mic. And then I focused on the worthlessness and the feeling of being used. And I don't know if I said it last week or not, but one of the feelings that I got unlocked was the feeling of being used by this person, and then it just instantly connected. Boom, every single relationship down the line, all the way up to my current ex, of just people who used me for what they needed, and then when they were done, I was discarded. And with this one, because I had recently or previously thought about the fucked up part of this, and the fucked up part was that this person was abused, and so I was abused. And so that is where I feel like the being used was had, and that's the common theme of how I get used by other people. And that common theme is I am hurting, I am needing to cope with this, and I'm going to use you, Chris America. I'm going to use you, Chris, to help me through it. And that's what my abuser did. That's what, in a lot of ways, I feel like that's what my dad did. That he used me constantly coming to him and constantly trying to earn that relationship. Like, he used the fact that I was always one-sided with it to help him feel good about himself. And then he used the fact that when I stopped talking to him to use me to feel like I'm the one in the wrong and not him. And because I'm such an empathetic person and such an understanding person, and I'm open to hearing people and to help people any way that I can, and this goes tenfold when you're my significant other. I'm going to give myself a huge pat on the back. When you're with me, if you're my girlfriend or my wife, when you're hurting and you're crying, I am absolutely the best boyfriend/husband in the world. I will hold you. I will comfort you. I will tell you that I love you. I will tell you that I'm here for you. And I will listen to you however long you need. And people use me for that. And the people that I've been in relationships with, including this one, used me for that. Her and I went through a lot together. She went through a lot of different changes, a lot of different surgeries and failures and accomplishments with her running and work and just life in general with her ex and her son, and just it was a lot, and I was always there to catch her. And so the problem is the people who use me, all the way from the child abuse all the way up to this person, the people who always use me never fully return the favor. Now, there's times where, they all are there for me in the relationship. And they're there for me from time to time, but it's not in the way that I want, and it's not in the way that I would give to them. And it's not in the way that they used me, if that makes sense. I got used in a huge way for everybody. And when I leaned on them or wanted them to use them for my own emotional support and my own emotional gain and my own emotional healing, or even if it's just using you in a negative way to help me deal with my negative hurt, I don't get that in return. And so it makes feeling being used a lot more. I don't want my ex to want to keep me around so I can be with her. I want to be a person to her. I want to be a person to all the people that have mattered in my life. I want to be more than just the relationship. I want to be more than just what you got out of the relationship. I want to be a person to you. I didn't want you to tell me that you love me because you thought that's what I needed to hear. And I didn't want you to tell me that your kid matters to me as much as my own son, because that's what I wanted to hear, and that's what you're supposed to say in a relationship. I don't want any of that stuff. When you're with me, friend or not friend, I just want to be a person to you, a person that matters, a person that you'll fight for, a person that has value to you to where you are going to make it work, in the extent of just keeping me in your life and showing me that my feelings matter and that my hurt matters and that you're there for me. And, you know, in a lot of ways, some of them have in one degree or another. But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that thought. At the end of the day, I don't get in return what I give out. It's a lot of give with very little take with everybody on that side of it. It's a lot of understanding for them, but hardly any understanding for me. And so the next thing I focused on is I said, I guess I don't deserve that. And the therapist said, but you do deserve to be loved. And that wasn't a thing on the search when I first hit enter, but she entered that in to the list. And so then I focused on that. You do deserve to be loved, Chris. You do deserve to be loved, Chris. You do deserve to be loved, Chris. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to be loved by my ex. I deserve to be loved by all of my other exes. I deserve to be loved by my dad. I deserve to be loved. And then I started thinking about all the ways that I've given and all the ways that I've been used. And I started taking, I don't know if pride's the right word, but I started loving myself. And I said, Chris, I love that you're patient. And I love that you're understanding. And I love that you're there for others always. That you do love unconditionally. That you're a good father. And that you love both of your kids wholeheartedly. And that you're willing to fight for them. And I love that people come to you. And they do feel like they can use you. Because you're helping them and you're being an impact on their life. And yes, it sucks that when they're done with that need of you, they let you go and they drop you. But it just means that they still need more help and that they still have more problems and they still have more things to work out. And I love that when it's all said and done, even through all the hurt, you still find ways to understand that, to empathize with it, and to commiserate with it, with that person, whether they recognize it or appreciate it or not. I mean, that brings me back to her lying to me about why we got married and how I'm realizing that she's lying to herself. And so her words can't have any power to me because I know that she is lying to herself. So it's not real. But I love that I understand that. I love that I'm able to understand that and empathize with her. She won't admit it to herself. I'm wrong. She's right. Or it's just my opinion. But when you look at everything that's gone on, she's hurting for something. I don't know what it is. And so I'll care from a distance now. Because another thing that was told to me yesterday, which had a big impact, is right now, no matter what I say, whether it's something positive or something negative, whatever energy I put into her, positive or negative, it's going to be turned into negative on her part. And so that person was right. And so, like I said this morning, I had a feeling defeat and let it go. And then came the next part where it was really, really intense and really, really hurtful. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, because I can already feel my heart throwing up the guards to protect me from what I felt during the EMDR. And I'm not having the tapping or anything going on to make my brain just kind of like let it go. So I'm going to try my hardest to focus on it, and hopefully you guys can see it. But while I told my therapist, I'm loving myself, I'm loving this, I'm loving that, she said, "Now what does that mean for your 6-year-old little boy?" And that's what she's done. And throughout the EMDR, I've been able to separate 35-year-old Chris and make 6-year-old Chris a person, a real person in front of me. And so she asked me, what does that mean for your 6-year-old little boy? And the reason why I'm able to separate it in a real way in my mind is because I'm able to imagine my love for my son, and I'm able to see my son, because my son looks like a spitting image of me when I was a kid. Like, at any age, if I put pictures of him and pictures of me from that age, it's almost like we're twins. And so when she says, what does that mean for that little boy? Think about that. Think about your 6-year-old little boy, 6-year-old Chris. And I just held him. And I said, I am so sorry. I am so sorry this happened to you, little man. And I was hurting because I couldn't do anything. And now I have regret because I can't do anything. 6-year-old Chris is in the past, and nobody can help him. Nobody can save him. And nobody can protect him. What's done is done. And it's going to be another 30 years before anybody decides to really do anything about it. And that somebody's me. And so I feel like I failed him. And I'm sorry that I let him down. And I'm sorry that I couldn't help him. But then I lose that shame because 35-year-old Chris wasn't there. And he couldn't be there yet. So I told the therapist that. And she said, I just want you to comfort that boy like you comfort your son. Like you comforted your son on Sunday morning. Because that's the exact same place you are at with him, is what you're at with your little 6-year-old boy. Okay, sorry. And so I just held him tight. And I said, I'm so sorry, little man. I said, I'm so sorry that you're feeling all of this hurt and all of this confusion and all of this pain that you don't understand. And you don't know what to do with it. And I know you're scared. But I'm here for you now. You can talk to me and you can lean on me. And I will hold you and support you and tell you that I love you and that you matter and that you will get through this. And I told him the same thing I've been telling my son dealing with this divorce. Because both him and I miss my ex a lot. And we both have the same pain for her. And so I told him that we're going to get through it together. And so that's what I told 6-year-old little Chris. That him and I are going to be strong together. And him and I are going to get through this together. And him and I will get better. And him and I will heal. And that's where I ended up. That's where we ended the session. And so I don't know if I felt good, but I felt empowered. I felt hopeful for both me, for both my son, and for both the 6-year-old Chris. And so at the end of the EMDR, they want you to take your feelings or take your emotions, and you're supposed to create a mental storage place for you to store those feelings in, to where you can access them whenever you want, but they're stored away. And that's the whole concept of EMDR, is to reprocess it and restore it. And so at the time I was feeling what I just told you, that empowerment, that needing to comfort and needing to be strong and needing to go through it together. And so another thing that you have to create mentally is a safe space. And I know that's a big power word in the world today, like everybody needs a safe space, but this is a mental safe space, to where if things get so hard for you to handle, that you go to your safe space to calm down and relax and be safe and to come down from where you're at. And my safe space is a log cabin in the mountains on a porch with a view of the mountains, a view of a waterfall. It's cold. Yes, a Florida boy that likes cold. Go figure. Light snow falling. And so she told me, she didn't tell me anything. She's like, just breathe. And so me and 6-year-old Chris, we were both at the cabin, and he was sitting on my lap, wrapped around me, and I was holding him, and we were rocking back and forth and just letting the log cabin bring us both peace until we're ready to deal with more. And she then asked me to store that feeling. I didn't tell her this at the time, and she said, I want you to go to the storage unit and lock away those feelings for now. And I told her where I was at. I told her that I was at the log cabin with the little boy. And I said, I think I'm going to stay here with him instead, because I want to hold on to this feeling. And so that was my EMDR. That was my whole session. And like I said, I feel it all over again. That distant feeling where I'm just lost in thought and processing my emotions and processing what I'm feeling and appreciating them and storing them and figuring them out and sorting them out. Sorry, I'm at a loss as to where to go now, so I guess I'll just end the episode the way that I always do. And I'm adding a new thing to it. If you were abused in any way, whether it was when you were a child, teenager, adult, whatever way it was, just understand, mental illness or not, it has a powerful effect on your life in ways that you can't understand. And there is no shame in admitting that you can't deal with it on your own and that you're not strong enough to deal with it on your own. Because the reality is there really aren't that many people that can handle abuse on their own. It's just too much. Most abuses are just too much for the human mind and the human body to process. Obviously, some are able to handle it and process it. I don't know if better is the right way, but to where it doesn't have as much negative effect. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. Because I don't want anybody to feel like I'm saying that there's a wrong way and a right way to handle it, or that there's better and there's worse. I don't want anybody to feel that way, because I believe that we all have our own ways of dealing and our own ways of grieving. I think that's something that we all need to understand. It's very annoying when people say, like, oh, you're only going through that and you're handling it this way, or you should handle your emotions this way because that's how I handle them. I hate that. It's just, people are people, man. And you have a right to handle your situation the best that you can. Again, as long as it doesn't hurt others and abuse others and you take it out on others. And as long as you don't abuse or hurt yourself, There's healthy ways to deal with things. And yes, there are unhealthy ways to deal with things. So maybe that's how I should categorize it. I don't know. Wandering off. But get help. If you've never been abused, but you feel that feeling of depression, that feeling of anxiety, or that feeling of whatever that you can't explain or get over, maybe you're not the extreme where you're suicidal. Get help. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me clear my snot. All right. Didn't want anybody to hear that. And if you are feeling suicidal, you feel like the darkness and the madness and all of that is just never going to end, get help. There's a couple ways you can get help. You can go to, here we go. I did bring them up this time. I just didn't have the window. You can go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Suicidepreventionlifeline.org. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. They also have a phone number, 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-8255. Go to the crisis text line, 741-741, text 741-741. Or if you're not in the United States, you can go to suicide.org. I finally figured out what they did. I've been saying like it used to have their all the country names in there and what their numbers are. So they still have that. So when you go to suicide.org, just scroll down to to the top third of the page a little bit down, and you'll see the National Suicide Hotline number for here in the United States, 1-800-273-8255. But then they have the link. You'll see it. It says that there's a extensive suicide prevention hotline numbers categorized by country or state can be found on the suicide prevention hotlines pages on this website. So you just click that link in that. Like I said, it's not halfway down. It's like kind of in between, halfway down and the top of the page. You'll see it. I can't help you as far as anything other than I can just listen, because like I said, I'm not a doctor, an expert, or any of that stuff. But for me, having somebody as a soundboard helps. And maybe you're not comfortable talking with the National Suicide Hotline. Maybe you want just an actual person that it's not my job to really care. And that's the way I feel when I talk to therapists and crisis people and stuff like that. Is it's just kind of like they only care because they're paid to care. I mean, I know that's not true, but it's just how my mind works and what I think about. So if that's you too, a lot of me is doing this show because I do care about other people. I do care about strangers. My hope is that, yes, this helps me, but ultimately, I hope it helps other people. And if one of the other ways that I can help other people is to just have you talk, I care to do that. I'll listen to anything and everything. If I don't get back to you right away, I'm sorry. I am busy from time to time, but please don't take it as an insult and don't take it as I don't care, because I do. I will notice the messages eventually, and I'm fairly good at getting back and forth with people and stuff. So, yeah, I do care. I do want to listen to you and be that soundboard. You can get me at the Chris America, or at Battle Inside Pod. I know I said I would get an email address. I'm working on it. I'm really just waiting on my other co-host. He kind of takes care of the website side of it, so I don't want to bother him too much. I know he's got a lot of busy stuff going on, but please reach out to me, reach out to a friend, reach out to a family member. Get help. We all need it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. We all need help from time to time. And whether that's going to therapy or whether that's just opening up to a friend, go get that help. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll see you when I see you.